I spent second semester of my fresh person year, that's what we called it, fresh person year, of college as an exchange student in the south of France. And I did what you do. I was 18. I immersed myself in the language, in the literature, in the pretension. You know what I mean? I really got into it. It was great. It was fantastic. It was fantastique, even. And flew home to the United States. Maybe 2 days later, my dad, my brothers, and I took off on this cross-country road trip. So I found myself in Wyoming, behind the wheel. Highway sign says, 90 miles ahead, Big Boob National Park. Big Boob National Park is what I read when I saw the sign for Grand Teton, which I knew about, of course, but because I had so recently had that French switch flipped in my brain, what I processed was 90 miles in that direction, there's a national park featuring a big boob of some kind, because grand means big, téton means boob or breast or teat, because, legend has it, French trappers, late 1700s, they see the outline of these mountains where Godam takes pictures of barns, apparently, and it reminded them of teats, and they called them that, les trois tétons, the three teats. Now that trapper story, fact or fiction, it has the elements. It's got the who and the what and the when and the where, and it's an insight into an English word or phrase, which is my favorite kind of story. I could not have been born into a better language. English takes, gets, assimilates, acquires, the linguistic term is borrows, words and phrases from all over the place. And like all stories, some are really good, some are really memorable, and some are goulash, for example. Pretty intriguing sounding word. It's kind of stew. We get it from Hungarian, where it means just goulash. Just goulash. So the word sounds like it might have some promise. Maybe this story, from what I can tell, could use a little spicing up, perhaps with paprika, which is also Hungarian just for paprika. So I favor stories that have maybe a little bit of a twist. Maybe you can see the what coming once you see it, but you don't know the why, the where, or the how. Right? To paraphrase the Frost quote that you've paraphrased, it would be the uncommon origin stories of common words. Fantastic example, let's go back to a mountain, Tagalog. National language of the Philippines, the word for mountain in Tagalog is bundok. Simple word, right? Bundok. Now the story on this is early 1900s, very early, this Philippines-American War. American servicemen are over there in the Philippines. They're listening to the locals talk about the mountains and stuff that's far away and in the foothills and what people do over there in the bundok. Now, we're not gonna, meaning English speakers, replace our perfectly good word mountain for this foreign word, but we totally make room for slang or something that means way the heck out there. You cannot get there from here, back and beyond, up in the boondocks, right? That is where boondocks comes from. That's the who and the what and the when and the where and the why, right? You can see these kind of twists sometimes with predictable ways. Maybe you saw boondocks coming. Maybe you could see downstream from boondock. Can you see downstream from this one? Because I love vaquero, Spanish word for cowboy. Vaca is Spanish for cow. It's Latin for cow as well. It's where we get the word vaccine. The early vaccines were inoculated right into cattle. But early 1800s, you got these American, gringo cowboys, and they're mingling very often in the border territories with Mexican vaqueros. And when the Americans hear this word, they do a couple things to it. These are regular, predictable things. First of all, that bilabial v of vaquero sounds a little bit more like a B to the Americans. And B and V get switched all the time in linguistics, like rabies and raving. Trust me, same root, right? It's all the time. And it happened here. The other thing that happened is English is a Germanic language. Got a lot of romance in it. Hey, we got romance in us. But we like to put the stress on the first syllable when we can. This, for example, in Spanish is a micrófono. But in English, it's microphone, right? Our téton became teton. Our boondock became boondock. I heard a woman the other day tell me she was going to the ballet, right? So, that's something we do. It's like an algorithm. Do it here. Take that V, make it a B. Take that second syllable stress, put it on the first syllable. Instead of vaquero, you've got something like buckaroo, which rough it up a little bit. Make it buckaroo. Say that a couple times, and that's where you get buckaroo, right? That's it. Now, this is just a synonym. We're not going to replace our word cowboy. It's just a synonym in another language. But through that process, it became something else, right? We're not going to replace the word, but we'll make room at a campfire for a buckaroo. A cowboy's somehow even less tamed cousin or something. And it makes me wonder, when you see the story, when you know the twist, does it change the way you use the word or feel about the word? Are my boondocks a little more mountainous than, before I knew this? Are my buckaroos a little more Mexican, Are my foibles a little more badass? Turns out that foible, which means your shortcoming, something you're not good at, that comes from sword making and sword fighting. It's a French term. The weakest part of your blade, from the middle of the blade to the end, is called your foible. It's already engaging, enriching enough. Then you find out that the strongest part of the blade, from the hilt to the middle, is called your forte, right? Something that you're good at. Right, it's that kind of aha moment, and you don't have to leave the mother tongue to get it, right? You can see these things coming. The past participle of to comb wasn't always have combed. 400 or 500 years ago, it was have kempt. You can see where this is going, right? If my hair is kempt, if I have kempt it often, if I have not kempt it very often, I'm just uncombed, baby. I'm unkempt. Same deal with the Latin word for stain or spot. It's macula, right? This is connecting the spots, connecting the dots. If you ain't got spots, if you are unstainy, you are immaculate. Like this guy. This is an office seeker in ancient Rome. And by tradition, he wouldn't be just wearing a clean toga. He'd be wearing a white toga. Politicians, before canvassing for votes, would put on a white toga. The word for white in Latin is candidus. It comes from an even earlier root, meaning to shine or to burn. It's where we get candle from. You can see where this is going, right? You're all whited out. You're all candidatus. You're a candidate. And you can be an anti-candidate. I love this one. This is an ostracon. This is a piece of pottery, ancient Greece, very, very prevalent, right? Papyrus, expensive. Paper hadn't been invented yet. This is like the Post-it notes of ancient Greece. And sort of the ballots as well. The Athenians, the vote-making ones anyway, every once in a while, as part of a political process, preemptively, get together, scratch your name on an ostracon, or get someone literate to do it for you. If enough people voted against you, like Themistocles here, you were banished from Athens for 10 years, like Themistocles was. Kicked out of Athens for 10 years, too many ostraca, and you were ostracized. You see a twist like that, and I think, anyway, you see it and you go, whoa, 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 we borrowed the word. We borrowed democracy. Why didn't we borrow this ostracism business? This is a good process. We could use that now. We could make an app in an afternoon. We could vote a motherfucker out of here, but we did not. We gripe about it. And this is what I like about it. I love the stories, but I love even more playing with them. And I'll give you an example. You might have a name you want to write on your ostracon, right? I can maybe guess for most of us who one of two names anyway. I showed this to a group of high school students not too long ago, and a young lady asked me if I could show her how to write a particular name in ancient Greek. And so I did. She didn't want to make a political commentary. She didn't want to even diss a friend. What she wanted to do was make a visual joke, and she did it. I showed her how to write it. This is what we came up with. Now, I don't know if you get it, but if you do, it means that you've got your finger on the pulse of ancient Greek orthography and your finger on the pulse of contemporary memes. This is the young lady's impression of how an ancient Greek would say, "Bye, Felicia," which is hysterical and very clever. And more importantly, I wouldn't have thought of it myself. And that's what I like. I like playing around. So in order to have more wordplay in my life, which I've decided I need, through 2016, I have started a project. I'm going to launch a channel. It happens 2 weeks from today on October 15th. First, I needed a template, and we've been building it as it comes along. Here's the template. That's my avatar, so that I don't have to do all this stuff. I let him do it. He's a hangman. I figure a hangman is highly motivated for you to understand a word, right? Because if not, you know what happens to the hangman. The channel is called Talk is Peach. Talk is Peach is a play on the phrase talk is cheap. It's not just an anagram. Peach and cheap have the same letters. They have the same sounds, 3 sounds, a p, an e, and a ch. And if this level of forensics is too geeky for you, do not go to Talk is Peach. That's what it is. But if you like it, Or you have a friend who incessantly puns at dinner parties, you might want to go to Talk is Peach. It will be on the big ones. Again, October 15th when it started. It's up now, but it's private. I have 0 friends and 0 followers. And you go there, and there's going to be a couple things. Again, just through 2016, see where it goes with this. First, you will get, a couple times a week, you get a video explaining these single topic, 30-second videos about what it is. I'll show you one that's sort of in the works right now. People ask me if I have a favorite. I do not. But this is the one that seems to resonate most with people that they tell other people when they know. It's also really good to do interpersonally. It looks like this. Pupil means 2 totally different things in English. A student and that central dot in your peepers. But it means them for the same reason. Pupillus is Latin for little person. That's where we get the word puppet, and that explains the student part. A student is a little person. But it also explains the eyeball business, because when I look into your eyes, I see a tiny reflection of myself. A little person. A little me. How intimate is that? Do you know how often I use that on first dates? It's shameless. It's shameless. Like, do you know when I look into your... Okay, whatever, but you use what you got. And you will too now, because it's a good one, right? Little person is great, solid gold. You know you're going to. That kind of play, really, I'm interested in that kind of thing. So I was told that we were allowed to ask people questions. I always go to conference and I always ask people questions because this is fun to me. We were at TED Oxford not too many years ago in the actual philosophy department, beautiful, sort of like Elizabethan building, and we started wondering, what if you were a drag performer across the street at the club over there? What if you were a philosophy professor / drag performer? What is your stage name? We asked a bunch of people. I came up with something that was a play on Immanuel Kant. It went too far. It was off color. Can't even do it here. But I think the best, Simone de Beauvoir. Thank you. That's really good. Yes, I'm taking that one. I'm stealing it. This is something that was heavily on my mind a little while ago. I just moved apartments. What is it called when you clean your apartment just well enough to get your deposit back? Do you know what I mean? Like, I patched the walls because I made holes in them, but I'm not cleaning behind the stove. Do you know what I mean? Like, I hope he understands. I asked a bunch of people. I had one. It wasn't that good. It wasn't as good as Flatisfactory, which I really like. The question that will be up on October 15th, if you want to join in, if you want to just see how people, what they come up with, if you want to see what people scheme, maybe New Yorker caption contest style, is we all know Goody Two-Shoes. What is the name of Goody Two-Shoes' evil twin? We all know her. What's the evil twin? I don't know. Think about it. The answer is I haven't come up with something yet. Come and play along. The question I will ask you today, maybe with a camera in hand, the question that I like to ask a whole bunch of people, the question I've spent maybe the past 13 years actually walking up and rolling and asking people, is the question that my grandfather used very naturally when he would just greet you. So the question I pose to you, and I'd like to pose it in person, and please, by all means, come up with any kind of commentary, and especially words and phrases about what you've just seen. The question I pose to you is, what's the good word? Thank you very much.